Alright, welcome back everybody. So, I also have some good news. I got a new camera for my... Well, I got a new webcam, and it detects my... it detects the motions of my eyes a lot more, so it's, gonna be nice to actually have something that looks a lot nicer and works a lot better. Because, my previous webcam I actually have had since about, like, 2015 or something, so it's not the best. So realize that I need to move myself up a little bit. There we go. So how are you doing this, well, I was gonna say this morning because my day's kind of like skewed a little bit, but how is everybody doing in this evening along with you, Dio? Tasty, good to see you! You can finally get to watch a little bit of Skies of Arcadia. I promise you'll have a good time with it. So I actually forgot last time that I played, because in the single hour that I was able to play last time, I did an optional boss here, but I completely forgot there's also a crew member that I can get here as well. I don't know if I can get her just yet, but I want to check just to be sure. And that crew member is, I think her name's Polly? Yeah, Polly. Doing pretty well today. Quiet, though. But I had a good morning to someone I met that's been kind of cool this past few days. Oh, that's awesome! I've met a few new people over the past few days, too. Like, I had a lot of anxiety in joining, like, newer communities, but, like, one of the ones that I joined recently has a lot to do with my model that I'm using now, and they've been really pleasant, and I've been having a really good time with them. I like how we're talking with Polly here as if we have, like, some sort of, like, familiarity, even though we've only talked to her literally once in this playthrough. See, that's awesome! Like, everybody deserves to have people that they can just kind of, like, mend well with and just, have good times with, you know? So, I don't know, what you saw the last time that you all were in the chat when I played this game, but a lot's happened. So, the Delphinus, our new ship, which is basically like this prototype Valuan battleship, essentially, one of the tasks that I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to go around different areas of the Arcadian world and find crew members. So, I don't remember exactly all of the crew members that I can get, but these are the ones kind of off the top of my head. Because with the Little Jack, which was our original ship, it was too small to really justify having more than just, like, 4 people on the crew. But the Delphinus is a beastly battleship. So I haven't actually been in the Delphinus extensively, just a few times on the bridge, but last time I got the helmsman, Lawrence, and I haven't really actually thoroughly explored the ship since I got it. So there's probably some treasure chests and stuff that I've missed. Yeah, but just the aesthetic is really cool, because, like, all the other ships are kind of, like, more in the, like, the piracy era, like, with, like, Blackbeard and all those other pirates, like, that you see in normal fantasy settings, but then you've got the Delphinus, which is almost like a World War II-esque battleship with how it's, built. Oh, yeah, there is something up here that I missed. Oh, hey Sarah, good to see ya. There's all sorts of emergency supplies in this box, even on ships powerful as Delphinus. Emergencies can happen, I suppose. I think that's really cool that there's a lookout tower, though. But yeah, as far as like stories that I mentioned earlier, so I got a new camera. It's just 1080p. It's nothing special, but my old one was from like 2015. It's a Logitech. Let me see what the brand is. It is a Logitech C615. And my previous one, I got when I was probably in my second year of college, maybe even my first year of college. So this is definitely a step up from what I had. So it's got better light detection, so it's able to detect my blinking a lot more. I still have some problems with them looking to the side, though, but for the most part, it's pretty good at detecting my movements. But yeah, we have a mess hall in the Delphinus. And I believe Polly is over here. Yeah, like, it's just really cool to explore the ship, because, you know, we started this game exploring another Valuan battleship, a much, like, smaller version of a Valuan battleship. But it's just really cool that, like, we started out invading one of those ships, and now we actually own one. So really a lot of what's going on now is, like, world building and building the crew and, making your ship as the best it can be. Because, I mean, you're not just some random, wannabe pirate anymore. Like, you actually are a formidable foe. Oh, there's a Cham somewhere around here. Come on, people. It's literally right there. There we go. These decks will be so clean you'll be able to eat off of... Ew! Yeah, he is kind of making a pew-pew noise. I think it's ironic that this is the Prince of Valua's flagship and he gets airsick. But something I discovered fairly recently in the last, like, 6 months or so is that I get very airsick, like, from planes. Like, I mean, I can ride planes just fine, it's just that when I'm on them and I get off, I have to have, like, a substantial layover where I can eat, like, a bunch of greasy food, because I get super sick when I fly. I'm not a frequent flyer, really. And right now, it's just really difficult to actually fly anywhere with all the trouble that's going on at the various airports. Okay, I gotta make sure that I healed from last time, so we're good. So, technically I can go fight an optional boss battle right now, but I'm gonna kind of level up a little bit first before I do that, because I was severely underpowered when I fought the optional boss last time I played, so I'm gonna kind of level up first before I try that. But, let's go fight one of these battleships. Because I've actually not used the Delphinus yet in a ship battle setting. And look at this dinky little thing. I admire your spirit, but I mean, do you see what you're fighting here? We'll use a 10-inch cannon and then no. I'm not going to waste anything else, and I'll just guard. So, well, actually, before I do that, so one of the new things they added with this is that you have a crew icon. So your crew members can do various things for your ship in battle. So, for example, if you don't have a certain item, you can have one of your crew members kind of supplement that to give you a similar effect. It's kind of like the crystals in the boxes for healing items. Rather than using your magic power, you can use your crew to do certain things. So, certain crew members can also be exchanged out for different ones. So, like, for example, if I find a different cook than Polly, I can have Polly or that other cook. So it gives you a little bit of variety without having to kind of make it just a one-trick pony, so to speak. But I'm just really excited to show everybody the Delphinus in action, because, like, growing up, like, this was such a cool-looking ship. And it's still got the purple color scheme on it, too, which is nice. Yeah, but that ship is so small and low level that it's not even doing any damage at all to me. Oh, that's actually the Grand Fortress ahead of me. I'm gonna see if I can see that hole that we blew into it. Because a lot of the things that happen in cutscenes you can see in the world later on. Yeah, right here. So we can actually peek through and... Let's see. No. But it gives you a little bit of a peek into Valua, so we can see the Imperial Palace, a little bit of Lower City. It's just a detail that I've always loved about this game, is that you could see things that happen in cutscenes in the game world, when they could just so easily just say, like, no, we're not going to bother with it. Because usually it would save on resources and time to just not put stuff in like that, but this game was definitely had a lot of love put into it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass through the Valuan continent to get to Crescent Isle, because that's where we're supposed to build our base. I'm going to be checking this map like every 5 seconds because I am very directionally challenged right now. But I also have good news. So, some of you have already seen it, but I got some of the new clothes from my model just the other day, which is a pleasant surprise. I thought it was going to take another week. So I'm in contact with the person who rigged my model that you see now, and I'm going to have those new clothing options done to where next stream I can wear one of those rather than just the two that I have. So long-term plan is I'm going to have like various different outfits for my model, just so like depending on the mood or the season I can change. It gives me a little bit of versatility, and it's not just redundant wearing the same thing all the time and not anime protagonist or anything. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. The person who did the rigging for my model gets them done really quickly, so I'm really excited to showcase, probably next stream, the clothing options.
An utter victory.
But yeah, I think turning on dynamic bitrate and running Streamlabs as administrator really helped with my stream troubles that I had the last few Star Fox Adventures streams. Because the big issue that I had is that it would keep disconnecting, and I think the reason behind that is because I was trying to set it at a bitrate that just wasn't possible with my connection, so it would disconnect every time it wouldn't reach that threshold. So using dynamic bitrate, it'll change depending on the strength of my connection, so it won't consistently be trying to output it at the highest quality, so it's a lot less stress on the system so it doesn't disconnect and try and give me the higher quality. I'm not really too concerned about it being like super high resolution because I'm only able to stream in 720/60, but I mean, the fact that I'm able to stream at all is a miracle, and I'm really happy that I was able to kind of fix that. So hopefully I won't have any more fractured VODs in the future. Because some of my Dead Space remake stuff is now, like, banished into the ether because it was, like, maybe 4 or 5, like, 10-minute clips that were just all at random points, and then there were some parts that didn't have anything at all. Hey, welcome back to the stream, Cranberry! Good to see ya! Yeah, so as I said earlier, my intention was to kind of stream earlier in the morning, but when I got home, I just immediately had to lay down, because, as I said earlier, I went to this authentic Mexican restaurant that's in town. It's one that's been here for quite a few years, and it's been highly rated, but I got food poisoning from it, unfortunately, which was not fun. So today I've kind of been taking it easy and like eating soup and some other stuff that's really not gonna like do much with my stomach, but it just was not fun. I'm still kind of feeling it a little bit, which is why I started a little later than I intended to. But I'm feeling mostly better. I need to go this way. So I'm hoping that I don't have to go through those sky reefs or whatever they're called. Because if that's the case, then I'm going to have to fly all the way around the Nazar continent just to get to Crescent Isle. I mean, so far so good. I'm still probably gonna maybe play a little bit of this off stream sometime this week to level up a little bit. Just because I want to keep the streams a little bit more consistent with the story rather than just me grinding for 4 hours a stream. So I think maybe sometime this week I might play a little bit off stream just to get some levels in and maybe get some new weapons. Okay, I don't have to go through that. I can just cut through here. The grind episode. Well, I mean, if I'm gonna do a grind episode, I'm gonna need to play, like, Guile's theme, like, on loop for 4 hours straight. Like, no breaks whatsoever, it perfectly loops. I also realized I need to switch my colors back to what I was training, so she was green. So another priority that I'm going to try to do is for Enrique. His second ability is one that I've really overlooked as a child, and one that I've never really paid any mind to, but apparently it's very useful. Apparently what it does is that Enrique's second special move halves enemy damage by 50% during a turn. So that's going to be really useful later on, especially for bosses. But I've been putting a lot of my Moonberries into Vice just to get his final special move, because it's one of the strongest attacks in the entire game, so I just kind of wanted to focus on that before I focused on anyone else.
That was fun.
Let me actually see, I might have actually gotten one from a boss. I also realized it's actually a day earlier than I usually stream, and the reason behind that is I was originally going to have a dentist appointment tomorrow, but I decided to push that forward up until next month, just because I could prepare for it a bit better, and that way I can take off work, because unfortunately I was going to work tomorrow, so I didn't intend to get food poisoning, so I decided to stay home today, and then I'm just going to go to work tomorrow, and then in a couple weeks I'll go to the dentist appointment, because I have some more work that needs to be done with my teeth. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun, because I think it was when I was streaming Star Fox Adventures, maybe, when I had the issues with my wisdom tooth and I got it pulled. But that was just not fun. That was some of the worst pain I've ever been in, was when it got removed. I have to have another tooth pulled, so that's not gonna be fun. Yeah, and I think part of what they were saying was probably a little bit like, I don't want to claim that I know more than they do, but some of what they were saying seemed like they were just trying to get as much money out of me as possible with oh, you need to get this done and this done and this done and this done, otherwise you're gonna lose your teeth. And it's like, my teeth are bad, but they're not that bad. Oh god, poor Enrique. Enrique looks how I felt earlier today. Hold it. You'll be alright, Enrique. It's like we're in the middle of a really, positive cutscene. You can hold your nausea. Gangly old man's voice. Oh, cool. Braybam. Is it Braybam or Brabham? This game has a lot of weird pronunciations, so we'll just call him Braybam, because he's kind of got an Abraham Lincoln kind of look going on. Ismail. Okay, cool. Okay, that's not a lot of money. Can we, do a payment plan or a loan or something? Anyone in chat have some Arcadian gold they can spare? Because I've got 71,000, so I can get the majority of this done. I think first I'll get the Delphinus upgrades. So he needed 75,000 gold, so I'm gonna need to probably gonna need to go back to one of the ports and sell some stuff. So, but the good news is, since he upgraded the ship, I can just cut through the sky reefs now, so I don't have to worry about going all the way around. The only one that I can't go through at the moment is that one, but I'll explain that at a later date, because that's not relevant to the story at the moment. Okay, so there's Dackett's Island, so I need to go directly west. So with these upgrades, we're able to explore the world at a much greater length. Because before, we were very limited with our mobility because we weren't able to go through certain rifts and certain reefs, but now we can go through both. So if we wanted to, we could cut through South Ocean and get to Ixataka much quicker than with the Little Jack. Which I believe there's a couple crew members that I can pick up while I'm over there, so I think what I'll do is I'll go to Ixataka, then I might go to the Nazar city that I was at earlier, Maramba, I think, and then I'll circle back and go to Crescent Isle again.
We did it!
So, save for all that I've kind of, like, talked about in my morning, how's everyone else's morning, well, not morning, afternoon, evening going? My sense of time is really screwed because I would probably be at my other job at the moment. So it feels more like a morning. Oh, well, thank you for the follow! Oh, Anti-Rabbit. Oh, it's nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. But how's everyone else doing? As I said, my sense of time is really screwed up right now because food poisoning really does not do well with me, so... Not exactly sure what that status effect even does. Afternoon's going good for you. Awesome.
We did it!
Yeah, I'm kind of like working on self-care a lot more. I needed to take, I definitely need to start taking a little better care of myself, so staying home is probably the best option for me today. Doing okay, getting ready for D&D, as I said. Running a fully dragon campaign that most of my players hate. Okay. See, it's like D&D's been popping up like in conversation almost every day at my work, and just also in like conversation with friends. I think it's almost like a sign that I need to start getting into it, but like it just takes a lot of time. Because like I have so many really good ideas for like a D&D campaign, it's just that I don't have the time. I'm kind of working out like my work schedule a little bit more, so maybe after I get that figured out, I'll be able to have more time for things that I want to do. Because I realize that even though money is good, I've been working a little too much, and just downsizing a little bit, having a little more simplicity is probably something that I need, so I can actually kind of live my life instead of living to work like I have been. Yeah, because there's a local game shop in town that runs, like, various different, tabletop games, but I've just never really had the time nor really the interest. You do a D&D session, me, Dark Shark, all gonna come in with Crusader builds and go around with astral projection skills. And see, that's something that I really like, is that D&D, like, really had kind of like it still technically in a way does, but it had that stigma surrounding it for so many years where, like, it was just stereotyped as, like, that thing that, kind of in the same vein as, like, video games and other things were, but it's becoming, like, a more, like, it's more common for, like, people who weren't necessarily into it, years ago or getting into it, and I think that's really awesome. Okay, so that's right, I was gonna... Exactly that. Oh yeah, I was gonna go to Horteka, because I was gonna get... I think Hans is the next crew member that I can get from there. Literally unstoppable, multiple hits. My friend Swamps did his, and he can do 16... Wow. Oh, hey, Sharkhide's here too! Good to see you! I mean, I saw there's a couple Twitch streamers that I follow that do D&D campaigns live, but I'm just so out of the loop when it comes to it that it would be kind of awkward for me to go in just and do that and just, like, have no prior knowledge to any of the mechanics of it.
That was easy.
Like, there's just certain genres of, like, whether it be tabletop or whether it be, like, games that I just haven't touched. Like, I haven't really played many RTS games. Tabletop, the only thing that I really consider tabletop is, like, board games that I've played. Okay, I gotta avoid that ship because that's the Angel of Death ship, and I do not want to get into an optional boss battle yet. So you've decided to step down the stairs and join me after all? You can never be out of the loop for D&D. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's just the world building stuff and character building that probably just has kept me from, like, getting into it for the longest time. Because there's a sense of community there that I really enjoy about it, but it's just a matter, again, of finding time to do it, and hopefully in the next probably 3 weeks I'm going to have more time to myself to do what I want to do. Personal reasons, of course, but I'm doing some stuff with my job that will hopefully make me have more time, and I'll just be generally have more energy and just be happier. You said that I could go through Sky Rifts, but I'm clearly not going through the Sky Rift. Well, I guess I can cut through South Ocean again.
Here goes!
Yeah.
I'm still in training myself where a good chunk of my time is going. Yeah, like, part of me realized that, because since I have 2 jobs, finding, like, time where I'm not just, like, taking a nap and getting my energy back is really difficult. So, I have one job that starts at 4 in the morning, and I get off at 8:30 in the morning. But that's a consistent schedule, which is Monday through Friday. But then I have my other job that's kind of an unpredictable part-time schedule, so sometimes my schedule is just really weird. And occasionally I'll have like days where I'm working like between the 2 jobs at least 12 hours in a day, and I think it's better for me to just take the hit and like lose a couple hours of work and actually like be happy than to consistently work and have all this money, because it's like, what good is the money if you're not happy when you use it, you know? Training for Mailbox Peak. Oh, is that another hiking place that you're gonna go to? Oh, welcome to the stream, Sly Black Cat, and thank you for the follow.
That was easy.
I'm very dyslexic, so sometimes when I try to read names, I absolutely butcher them. Like, even though I was a radio DJ and I read like weather forecasts and stuff, it usually takes me about like 3 or 4 tries to get like a name right or something. So we haven't been to this area of the game since probably around the start. It's one of the state's most challenging mountains. Ooh. Yeah, like, looking at your photos that you've been posting is really fascinating. I know I don't really respond in a timely manner sometimes due to the aforementioned work crisis, but it's really fascinating just seeing some of the adventures that you go on and seeing, like, the things that you find. I only have a minute, so thanks for playing an awesome game. The quality and sound are awesome. Keep it up. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for popping into the stream. I'm probably going to be playing this for at least another couple months with my schedule, so hop back in anytime when I'm streaming this. You're always welcome here, and hope you have a good day. I can't do it as I am now. I need to increase my strength and endurance. Yeah, like, I would imagine it takes a lot out of you to do something like that. I used to like going hiking when I was younger. There's not really a lot of mountainous locations around where I live, but I always like to go on just little adventures every now and again, but the last time I did, I went to the biggest waterfall in my state, and that was, I think, actually, well, now that I think about it, it's been a year since I've done that. Though if I were to do hiking again, I'd probably invest in a walking stick. I don't really have, like, crazy mobility issues, but I tend to get really dizzy in certain circumstances, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for me to get, like, a walking stick or something to kind of keep my mobility in check. But if I do that, I'll post them in the Discord server, because I'd love to share some of my adventures as well. 4,000-foot elevation gain for about 5 miles. Wow. Well, I guess technically me visiting the waterfall wasn't the last hiking quote-unquote thing that I did. It was back in August when I was visiting a friend. I actually went up to Shenandoah National Park, which is part of the Appalachian mountain range. We were pretty high up, and it was honestly probably one of the most gorgeous sights I've seen. Because I'm just so used to like those small local creeks, and then I go from that to a mountain range, and it's just really impressive. Oh, and I see a Blaze in chat too. Good to have ya. I mean, we're just in the first 46 minutes of the stream. We're already getting a party going, so I'm really happy for that.
Here goes.
But I am gonna have to take during these turns. I'm probably gonna take a few drinks of my water just to keep myself hydrated.
Yeah.
I like the nature photos you provided. They were beautiful. Yeah, those were just ones that I could find just in my immediate folders. I've got an entire album full of my digital photography stuff that I took in college. Nothing super special. A lot of it was just like geese and just common like mallard ducks, but I do have a couple from some other travel adventures that I went on. Like, for example, there was a castle in my state that I went to.
That was easy.
That was burned down in like the 1920s or something. But it's still there apparently, so like it's now a national monument for my state. So I think I may have screwed this up, and I may have went the wrong way. But I'm still getting level up, so it's not a big deal, but... Okay, so how did I get to South... Oh, I went through here to get to South Ocean, and then I go that way to get to Ixataka. Well, then again, I could just go through right here, because... Well, no. Because if I were to do that, I'd have to go all the way around Valua back here. Well, since I'm in a more powerful ship, it's not going to be a big deal, but... I think I might have just screwed it up and I didn't buy the second upgrade immediately, so... I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, anytime I get to explore with the Delphinus is great. And just getting level ups like this is kind of like going against what I said with me not grinding through the streams, because this is kind of what I'm doing unintentionally, is grinding. Yeah, it was kind of like, this morning I was wondering if I was going to stream this or if I was going to stream something else, because, like I said this morning, I was going to come home and immediately stream this with my energy tea like I usually do, but, I laid down for a little bit, realized that I was more tired than I thought, and, I thought that maybe I'd stream, like, a shorter game. Like, I just wasn't sure what to play. I mean, honestly, like, if I had more time, I'd be streaming this, like, more regularly, and then streaming another game more regularly. So I hope maybe once I get more time to myself after the whole work situation kind of blows over, I'll be able to stream more days, which will be fantastic for me.
An utter victory.
But I'm going to be making some more investments into my technology, because, like, I got this camera, which improves a lot based on comparing it to my old one, and I intend to get a 4K monitor, because right now I'm still using my 1080p monitor from back in 2015. Any ideas what games you'd like to stream next? You know, I'm not so sure. Like, there's a lot of ideas that I have. I really want to stream the Halo franchise at some point. Okay, so it's not letting me go through there either, so through South Ocean it is. Or actually, no, I think I'm just going to go straight back to Sailor's Island. Like, I have a set of games set aside on my Steam playlist of stuff that I want to play on stream. But I was thinking of doing Resident Evil 4 Remake, but the problem is when that comes out on Friday, everybody is going to be streaming it, from big streamers to small streamers, so the only way that people will be able to find the stream is via the tags. Plus, I love streaming Dead Space Remake, but the problem with that is that I had to wait to play it until stream day. And I really want to get into Resident Evil 4, so... I don't know, like... I've got plenty of GameCube titles. I have literally every N64 title available to play. and various PC games and console games. I do want to do a playthrough of the Fable series at some point, because with the new Fable game being in development right now, I really want to kind of get that out of the way as much as I can before that game comes out.
We did it!
I'm still trying to find a proper stream schedule. Yeah, like, I don't really have, like, the most consistent schedule either. Mostly because, I'd say that I'll stream, like, every 3 days, but because of my work, it's been kind of difficult to get a consistent amount of days, because some days I'll come home and I'm just too tired from work to do anything. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to sell some stuff to the merchant. So I have 49,000 gold right now. I need to get at least 100,000 or 75,000 in order to get all the upgrades that I need. Oh yeah, I forgot that I still have all these treasures from the Zivlin Banes that I fought. Soul Crystal. Yeah, there's a lot of items that I've just got from random locations that I just kept in my inventory for no reason. Increases will. All this fish that I don't need. Okay. Since Drachma kind of went with the way of the dodo, I don't really need his clothes anymore. Yeah, I think I'll be just fine. I'm already kind of getting there. Because I don't think I can sell the items that I have equipped, so I'm not really too worried about selling something that I want to keep. Yeah, see, I've got stuff for Gilder. Like, why didn't he just take that with him? Yeah, because this stuff is for the little Jack, so I can get rid of this. And the prototype cannons are the stuff that Delphinus was equipped with by default, so I don't need those either. Okay, so we've got 80,000 gold, so I think that's enough for what I need. Because since I already spent the 25,000 on that other thing, I think 80,000 is more than enough. And then I'll have some left over, so now I just gotta make the trek back to Crescent Isle, and hopefully that means I actually get these upgrades to my ship. Because, like, I can go through South Ocean again, but South Ocean made me absolutely crazy the last time I did. Okay, so Crescent Isle is just this way. Okay, there we go. Back. Welcome back, Dio. Eno, the easily distracted, sees a balloon battleship and takes the opportunity. With a head-on collision. And it's another dinky little spell ship. See, I just imagine, like, these spell ships, like, speaking in an Alvin and the Chipmunks voice with just how small they are. If we get into D&D and if you develop your stand once you're fully formed, if you're in a party, we can probably do hundreds of hits per round. And my schedule is constantly in flux due to work or mental burnout. Yeah, See, that's why I came to Twitch and talk, like, in general, it's just because, like, I had so much burnout from doing YouTube for so many years. Because, like, if you were to look at some of my YouTube videos from the recent time versus ones that I made back in, like, 2015, 2016, I just had no energy for it anymore. Which is why I'm so glad that I'm having such a good time on Twitch, because I can express myself better, and I can also just have fun playing whatever I want and not have to worry about expectations from something that I made like 10 years ago on the platform. But I really enjoyed your bully stream last time you streamed there, Blaze, and I'm really proud of you for your VTuber model. Like, I know how much that was stressing you out, and it turned out really good. So I'm really proud of you for all the work that you put into that, because it looks really good. And it's probably a lot less resources than using VR chat for your VTuber model. But for those in chat who have not checked him out already, definitely go give Blaze a follow there. He's one of my really close friends. He's another VTuber. He's a deer VTuber. He streams a lot of different classic titles. He played GoldenEye recently. He's been playing through Bully. Really talented voice actor. Very, very fun to be around. So go check him out if you get the chance. Highly recommend his work. Oh, Prism, good to see you! I'm really happy that you came by. Yeah, so we've got Prism and then Prismatic Blaze, so 2 Prisms. And then we also have 2 berries in the chat because we have Basilberry and Cranberry. Okay. Prism and Prismatic, combine them and we can make a super laser lens to destroy any planet like the Death Star. See, I like these little like metaphors and things that you come up with in the chat there, Dio. It's this game, the game my baby Vice comes from? Yeah, absolutely! Skies of Arcadia is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and I'm using a 2022 texture pack which overhauls absolutely everything from the game. I would say like 95% of the textures have been upscaled and redone in Photoshop, so it's almost a brand new game at this point. And I'm also running it at 16:9 as well, so you see a lot more on screen. But yeah, also for those of you who came from the Time Spirit community, this is my voice. I'm just generally really shy in VR, and I don't like to use... I had my Rift S microphone, which was just absolutely terrible. But when I'm using my studio-grade microphone that I'm using now, I'm a little bit more confident with it, but... I replaced my Rift S recently, so who knows, maybe I'll use my mic.
That was fun.
I've heard of it and never played it. Texture overhaul looks nice. Yeah, I highly recommend this, because one of the reasons that I'm playing this is to kind of showcase it to people who may not have never seen it before. Very underappreciated JRPG title. So I'm hoping that when I get to Crescent Isle, I'm able to get the flag and stuff for the Delphinus as well, because... not really a major spoiler, but the purple color scheme is only temporary because these are just the base colors that you get, but then it gets into a blue color scheme, which kind of matches my sweater, which I'm really looking forward to. Vice is in Valkyria Chronicles. I just like his character, so I have him on my team. He does good damage, though. Oh yeah, that's right, he is in Valkyria Chronicles as well. I think Aika and Fina are also in that game.
Yeah.
The only time we get to see him as an adult, yeah.
Here goes.
Though technically Vice was also in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, but
Yeah. Ah.
that's really the only other time that I've seen him in any game, save for Skies of Arcadia and Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, they've done a lot of weird things with the Skies of Arcadia franchise. Recently, First 4 Figures made two collectible figures that they... word vomit. They made 2 collectible figures based on 2 characters from the game. And there's a crossover comic series with Sonic the Hedgehog for some reason. But save for that, they haven't done anything with this franchise since about 2003. I always like to see the growth of Link and Ocarina of Time, kid to adult. I never liked this to be... Oh, I'd like this for the case to be Vice. That way we can see him truly just how powerful he can get in his lifetime. Not just Vice, but really the entire party. Because he's only 17, he's just now kind of getting into the world of air piracy. So, years down the line, he could be one of those people that you look in like history books and read about, like the exploits of. So I'm going to go ahead and go overkill just so I can make this battle worthwhile, and I'm going to use the most powerful attack I have. Very much overkill, but it was worth it. I do like that despite Sonic being the only thing Sega is known for at this point, they give love to older series via some way. Yeah, I think it was like a Sega Capcom crossover. So it had Skies of Arcadia, Mega Man, and then Sonic the Hedgehog and some other franchises. Okay, got a couple. I keep checking the map because I keep forgetting what direction I'm going. Okay, so Crescent Isle's right there. Let's see if I'll get into a random battle before I hit it. And... safely landed. Whew. Yep, but Sly Black Cat, so this is kind of an example of the texture pack, so... everything down to the environments has been up-resed, so like these little patches of grass, the rocks, not really the water because that's more of an effect because you can kind of see like where they've layered it with like if you look closely you can see the squares that are lined up to make that effect, but just everything looks so much better. Like this is what I would have expected from like a port remaster of this game. Like, not a remake, but more of, like, just an overhaul for a newer generation console system. GameCube or Dreamcast. This is the GameCube version, so Skies of Arcadia Legends. I hate that when you're one step away and suddenly in a battle. Well, the fun fact about this game is that the battle frequency is actually reduced from the original edition of the game, so there was actually maybe twice as many encounters. Live interactive world, truly dynamic monsters. Okay, so let me get... Oh, this is gonna hurt my wallet, but yeah, I need to do it. Okay, so I did leave prematurely, so he didn't immediately add the hull to my ship. But Sly Black Cat, there was another HD mod that was on the Dolphin forums that I was originally using when I started this stream. It's not a Let's Play. I keep forgetting that I don't do the YouTube thing anymore. when I first started this, I was using more of a generic HD mod that just overhauled the character models and the HUD elements and everything, but this one is just came out a couple months back, probably not even 6 months ago. This texture pack was made. Let's call me Sly or Cap. Sure. Okay, I'll call you Sly. Well, I hate having to leave the party, but I must depart due to my prison that is work. Have a good day, everyone. Well, have a good day, Blaze. I'll see you when you get back, alright? Next time you stream, I'll make sure to pop in and say hello. Well, see, I won't point out, like, what I used to do, because I kind of want to be anonymous with it, but I was reasonably successful on that platform for a number of years. Mostly, this year would have been my 10th anniversary on the platform, but I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. Like, people would just watch stuff that I made like 8 or 9 years ago and not look at any of my new stuff. So I felt like I didn't have the opportunity to play anything that I wanted to play or talk about what I wanted to talk about. So I decided to move to Twitch and use all the skills that I learned from YouTube and put them into streaming, and I'm just a lot happier with it, because I can just play whatever I want, and I don't have to worry about the expectations of something I did like 5-6 years ago when somebody clicks on the channel. Oh, this is the flag selection bit! So I mentioned this a little while back. So we have 3 options of flags, and I'm actually going to put this up to chat to see which one we pick. Yeah, that's completely fair, Sly. I enjoyed it for a time, but I think I just got burnt out on it after a while. Pull. Yeah, I don't know if I can pull just yet. Hey, Trends is here too! We really are getting a party going on. Woo! But yeah, so this is good. I'm going to cycle through these flags, and we're going to see which one is going to be the flag of the Delphinus. So the first one is going to be Vice's flag, and I'm going to try to keep them on screen as much as possible, because I don't know if I can just go back and look at them. So this first one is going to be Vice's flag. And she's kind of got a point with like the skull and crossbones thing that's kind of like the pirate flag. And then this is Aika's flag, which is a cat with a coin in its mouth. Yeah? So that's Aika's flag, and now, last but not least, we have Fina's flag, which was the one that I used when I initially played this game, oh gosh, 20 years ago. Because the Legends Edition came out mid-2003. And this is Fina's flag. The word Delphinus refers to an ancient creature that lived in seas. Delphinus, dolphin. Alright, so we've seen the flags. Now it's up to you, audience. Which one shall it be? I'm trying to do some sort of cheesy game show host thing. I could do like a call now into this line or something, but no. Like, I think we'll just, I don't know if I can do polls in the chat, so just like vote for which one, like 1, 2, or 3, and that's how I'll do it. So the first selection was Vice's flag with the skull and the sword. Second one was Aika with the cat and the coin in the mouth. And then the third and final option is Fina's with the dolphin. Aika, my edgy teen days dictate Vice. Aika's, Aika. Okay, so we've got a lot of Aikas. The command is /poll. Okay. Wonder, can I do that from here? Oh, well. I guess that's something I'll have to figure out later. Okay, yeah. It's fine, though. I think we already know who the winner's gonna be based off of the chat. So... we could be narcissistic with Vice's flag, but it's like, oh, I made it, so we're gonna use it. But I used Vice's flag initially, I think, because I liked his design probably the most, but then I liked Fina's as a child because I felt bad because she worked so hard on it. But we're gonna go with Ica's flag because that's what chat would like. Woohoo!
Yay!
So I wonder if that lifeboat that we crash landed on here is still around here somewhere. So this is kind of uncharted territory after this point, because I remember bits and pieces of the story, but it's really mostly out of order. So I don't know if I'm supposed to go for the blue crystal next, or if I'm supposed to go for the purple. Whenever you go hiking, you ever camp overnight anywhere and cook over a fire? Is it good if so? Well, if I were to put some input into that, I have done it before myself. Not for a very long time, but I cooked marshmallows over an open flame. It was really good, but I don't really get too much opportunity to do that anymore. It's actually a lot harder to start a fire than you'd think, especially if the wood is wet from a rain. Because I was at my brother's house when he used to live out in the country. Tried to burn some logs, and we had to get some gasoline because just starting at a random fire just would not work. And even with the gasoline, it just wouldn't work. Good company makes for the best outdoors experiences. Absolutely. I think some of my favorite experiences from recent times in the outdoors were when I was in college military science, which is basically just college ROTC. We did a recon lab, and we got to do like a formation tactics and how to go traverse a large area but still cover like all of your directions just in case of an enemy ambush. We went to this forest nearby. It was really fun. I wish I had recorded it with a GoPro, but that was 3 years ago now. Could be dampness in the air, the materials around are windy. Yeah, it had rained like really heavily that previous night. But, so this is kind of an explanation into Ramirez. So he's also a Sylvite, which is the same civilization / race that Fina is from. So that means that they have some familiarity with each other that isn't really properly explained just yet, but this is kind of where she tells everything. Like, this is a tell-all about Ramirez, the boss that kicked my ass that last stream. Ramirez, go to the Burger Town. Ramirez, destroy the world of Arcadia. Oh gosh, Modern Warfare 2. Yeah. I just love his theme music. It's so ominous. All my hikes this far have been day hikes. I've not camped overnight at a location. Yeah, I've never actually set up a tent and camped anywhere before. I'd like to. I've had the opportunity in the past to go to like certain wilderness lodges, but I never got the chance. I never actually took people up on that offer. Yeah, so that's the mystery. Ramirez was one of Fina's best friends, part of the Sylvite civilization. He came here to stop the Valuans, and then he ended up joining them. So the mystery that we're trying to figure out is why did he join the enemy that he was sent to destroy? So there's a lot of mystery behind why Ramirez changed his heart and allied himself with the enemy. Hey, kid, good to see ya! We have a fur camp in Saskatchewan. It was fun. Wound up ditching the air mattress for the ground, though. I've roasted marshmallows and hot dogs over a fire when I've gone camping in the past. Yeah, the most I've ever done was marshmallows. But as a kid, I didn't realize that we had, like, actual metal sticks that we would use, or plastic sticks or something that we would use for the marshmallows. So at first, I just grabbed, like, any random stick on the ground and I put my marshmallow on it, and then the camp counselor or whatever was like, no, don't do that. We have, like, these sticks, like, actual sticks that you can use. I think I actually burned my marshmallow the first time I tried it, because I just didn't understand, like, the whole process of it. Like, I'd only seen, like, what I'd seen in, like, cartoons and such. Oh, Kit. It's always depicted in cartoons. If the marshmallow isn't black and crunchy, you did it wrong. Yeah, because when I was in college, one of the ways that we kind of... try to cheer her up would be... Because comforting a friend would be good in this moment, but instilling her with confidence would make her feel a little better about the situation she's in. So there's really, like, it's a very tough decision here, because, like, either or would be a good option to pick. Spirits will eventually build confidence. You can't build confidence if you're sad. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. And it looks like you made the right decision there, Dio. Good call. Confidence you'd be alright killing all of us. Yeah, it's, I will say I do like how Skies of Arcadia gives you a little bit more of a hint as to what option to pick. Because, for example, Fallout 4 has this whole sarcastic option where it just tells you, like, a basic little sentence of what they're actually saying. So you could intend to say something just completely snarky, but you end up coming off as a total asshole. But I liked that, because like, either or answer could have been, like, in my eyes, could have been the right way, depending on how you said it. But, yeah, like, definitely good call there, Dio, and everyone in chat. Now that I think about it, I'm, like, I've seen people play this texture pack, but it was, like, maybe one YouTuber in one video. So I think this might be one of the first, like, full playthroughs, at least from Ikesataka on, that has used this texture pack. So I guess it's a first for everything, and I guess that first was me, I guess. Fallout be like compassionate. Hey, I'm sorry for your loss, Joker. I hope you eat shit and die just like them. Or even Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect, like you can intend to like do something completely different, and then you'll just end up like punching somebody. Like I think one of my favorite Renegade options, I think in Mass Effect 2 was give me a name or I'll cut your balls off and sell them to a Krogan. Fallout 3 dialogue options: normal, mean, sadistic, mean. Hey, I mean, this whole conversation about, like, dialogue options was us, the chat, and me, Eno. We had our little, like, fireside chat all our own, so a little bit of an immersion there. Mass Effect is too black and white, though. Yeah. Because it's either, like, you get the Paragon or Renegade options. That's another game series I really want to get into, but like I know the story of it fairly well. I just haven't played through all of them. Okay, so I guess Yafotoma is the next location that I'm gonna have to go to. Automodded again, what an honor. It's okay, eventually, after all these words are said, it'll just completely go through, because once I allow every word like that, it'll only leave, like, certain words that I'm not going to allow, like slurs. I'm either trying to help or shoot this asshole out of the way. Well, hey, at least it's the auto mod this time and not Nightbot, because I've actually, like, heavily modified Nightbot to where, like, it will only do stuff if you've, like, completely, like, went off the deep end. How are you supposed to eat with 2 sticks, and what do you mean scales? Are they monsters? I don't think it's what you're imagining, Anika. So as I've said in the past, there's a lot of cultural variety in Skies of Arcadia. So Ixotaka was more like South American, Central American civilization. Nazar was Middle Eastern, and with little bits of inspiration from India as well. Valua is the Spanish Empire. And then Yafotoma is based off of, I think it's mostly just like an Eastern inspiration. I don't think there's a specific country that it's taking inspiration from. You'll never find Prince Horus in time, Dennis. Haha, that's me.
Let's go!
Oh hey, there's Ica's flag in the background. Okay, so now, if you're to take a look at the Delphinus, we now have the blue color scheme. It's actually almost the same color scheme as my sweater, too, which is nice. Only if we go off the deep end, let's test that Hey Nightbot cranberries. It's like, you said the naughty word. Straight up calling my man's Henry in Spanish. So, oh, is like Enrique like a really common name in Spanish? Because most of the Valuan naming conventions, of course, being based off the Spanish Empire, have roots in common Spanish names like Ramirez, Enrique, and so on. Okay, so Yafotoma is this way. So we need to find that cape to get through there, so I'm assuming it's this just below the Temple of Pyron. There's equivalencies in languages when it comes to names. Oh, so kind of like Enrique is their version of Henry. Okay, that's interesting. Because see, when you initially said Henry, I was thinking like, because like whenever you don't have a name for like a crime victim that was found, there's like the Jane Does, and then what was the other one? Like John Smith is like the default name that investigation agencies use for unidentified like victims of crime. George is George, Luis is Louis, or George or Jorge, because I've seen people use the pronunciation Jorge. I have a Greek professor who named. I'm probably gonna butcher that pronunciation, but is that Loannis? Which would be as common as John and Juan. Oh.
Here goes! Over there!
Yeah, that helped quite a bit there, Trends. So, like, So, I think the only language that I have any form of proficiency in is German, and even then it's mostly just enough to, like, get myself by and kind of explain, like, hey, I'm an American, I don't understand this language. But, like, Spanish, like, really not much more than just the standard, like, greeting and counting and stuff that I learned in elementary school, but, like, whenever I do have the opportunity to speak Spanish, I purposely, like, say it horribly just because I want people to laugh at my horrible Spanish.
We did it!
Henry Church and Antonio Banderas means, yeah, pretty badass. Like, so choose another Germanic language to be good at. Yeah, so okay, so this is the one Spanish phrase that I know is one that I butcher, like, and say out of context just to make people laugh. I think it's something like el trabajo en el baño, which is roughly like I work in the bathroom or something. So, like, I'm trying to ask to go to the bathroom, and it's like, oh, I work there. But it's probably said differently than that, but that's probably the only Spanish phrase that I know. The work at the bathroom. Yeah, but I would imagine, like, different languages have different, like, ways of saying things, because, like, in the English language, you've got, like, 3 different ways of saying there. Yo trabajo en el baño is correct, yeah. Are you fluent in Spanish, Kit? Like, I know that you've spoken, also in Spanish you don't have to say the pronoun if you're doing a verb. Okay. Because if I recall correctly, like in the past, I think I've heard you speak Spanish phrases before. Those trabajo en el baño. See, that's cool. I am fluent, yes. Well, I was about to say like a really like southern phrase, but I restrained myself. But I was gonna say something like, well, something about like butter my biscuit and call me toast. Like that's actually something new that I learned about you, Kit. Okay, so I can't go that way. So I'm gonna have to go around. I'm learning French right now. Cool. The only French words that I know are les enfants terribles, however that's pronounced, the terrible children from the Metal Gear series. And then like the standard like bonjour and... Yeah, German's really the only language that I actually tried to learn a bit. Like, I have an app that has a bunch of, like, various phrases that I can say. I need the bathroom. Where is the bathroom? Also, did you know that S ending in Spanish last name is the same as son in English? Huh. Yeah, it's kind of like that icebreaker conversation that's like, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? Usually my answer is I'd like to shapeshift, but another answer that I have is like understanding every language on the planet and then some. So I would imagine, like, if I had that superpower, like, I wasn't actually, like, understanding the language. I was just, like, subtitles just appear out of thin air for me to understand. Okay, there we go, got some food. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've got some soup that I'm going to eat later, because gotta take it easy on my stomach for now until the food poisoning passes. Okay, so I want to say Esperanza is going to be down here, because Yafotoma is in this side of the map, but I don't, maybe? I mean, if not, then it's going to be up here, because we have to pass through here to get to Yafotoma, which is in this side of the map. So I'm wondering what's... So that Ramirez character got his last name from ancient Spanish for son of Ramiro? Hmm. Yeah, like, if we see any more, like, Valuan names, I'd definitely like to learn a bit more about them. Because, most, if not all of the Valuan, main characters have a Spanish name. So I should be able to cut through this now. There we go, and a black pirate ship, too. Ramirez, take the burger town. Hey, we've already messed with that Modern Warfare 2 nonsense. Ramirez, go take the White House. Like, there was literally every command and then some that Sergeant Foley said in Modern Warfare 2. But, for those unaware, it was Keith David who played Sergeant Foley in Modern Warfare 2. Okay, so I'll use the torpedo, and then use cannon. Yeah, because when I think of Keith David, like, my mind doesn't immediately go to the Arbiter. My mind goes to Saints Row 4, where he had that, where he literally played himself and then got into a fight with Rowdy Roddy Piper, which also happened in a movie as well, but... But then again, Keith David was also in John Carpenter's The Thing as well. I was watching the new Transformers cartoon with my kid, and fucking Keith David shows up as Grimlock. Yeah, Keith David has such a smooth voice, too. Like, he's a phenomenal actor. Like, I didn't watch John Carpenter's The Thing until much later on in life, but, like, Kurt Russell and Keith David in the same movie is just incredible. There are many people's voices that die to have. Matthew Mercer's voice is one of them. Oh, for sure. Actually, I'm gonna focus because I want to use the Moonstone Cannon and do overkill on this Black Pirate ship just so I can show the Moonstone Cannon. I'm like, damn, Grimlock was cool enough being a giant anti-hero robot that turns into a robotic fire-breathing T-Rex. I'd love to have, I can't pronounce his last name, it's Keith, starts with an S, something, the guy who voices Joshua Graham. Because he voices Joshua Graham, the Didact in Halo, and Harbinger in Mass Effect, and he also voices Dr. Kyne in the original Dead Space. Very, very good narration voice, and I would love to have that. I mean, I'm proud of my voice as is, but I'm a voiceover person. I'm not a voice actor, so I can do like voice acting, but it's not very good. I'm more of like a commentator, radio DJ, like getting onto the airwaves and announcing like, oh, well, this is that song we played, or you know, this is the local news. Or whenever I did radio, I also did a Google search weather forecast. So, Sizzly Josh is the Didact. Yeah. Comfy voice actors are good stuff. What? I had the option to use the Moonstone Cannon. Oh well. I guess next battle I'll get to use it. So I might as well just take this guy out. I probably needed to increase my distance, that's why it didn't allow me to use it. Experiment with your voice, I tried to, and after a few years I could go really high, replicate a feminine voice, and I struggled going into low. That one hurts, man. I don't know how people do it. It's like these muscles in my neck that overlap and clap together work weirdly. Or, together weirdly. It's really cute. Actually, my son's favorite Transformer is Grapple because he turns into a construction crane. That means he's the leader of the Autobots because nothing's cooler than a construction crane. Yeah, like, save for the projects that we worked on together, Kit, really I haven't done really any voice acting. I've tried in the past. It's really just it's like a muscle that you have to train like anything else. And I probably could be reasonably successful in voice acting if I tried. But again, maybe that's something that I can work on whenever I get the whole work schedule conflict thing figured out, because one of the biggest problems I've had is that I just haven't had any free time to really do anything. Save for the streams, of course, because of that work schedule. But essentially what I'm planning is I'm going to kind of reduce my hours quite significantly. I'm not going to get a lot of money, but at the same time, I'd much rather have less money and have more free time to relax and actually have real days off than to work consistently and 7 days a week with only a day off every, like, month or so. Because, like, even though, like, one job is in the early morning, that's fine. But at the same time, I still have to consistently leave my apartment every single day, and I use a lot of gas doing that. Yeah, believe it or not, I was actually really, like, anxious about my voice when I was younger. I've told this story before on stream, but I remember there was a time in 6th grade where I was doing a project on plate tectonics and geography, and nobody partnered with me for that project, so I had to do all of it to myself. So I tried to do, like, this stupid cartoony thing, and I tried to voice, like, all these characters that I made, and, it just ended up, like, coming out really awkward, and I was, like, 11 years old at the time, so I can't be too hard on myself, but for the longest time, I just absolutely could not be in the room if somebody was watching something with my voice in it. But over time, like, doing, like, radio and the YouTube thing, and now with streaming, like, I've gotten more confident with my voice, but there's still the occasional time where I tend to kind of, like, get a little bit more reclusive and not talk as much. Yeah, like, singing was another thing. Like, I've been told that I have the potential to have a really good singing voice, but, that's, among other things, a lot of work. Okay, so if they don't run away, you'll be able to see Enrique's special move.
Face my blade.
Yeah, like, yeah, Dio, I mean, technically I have sang in the past, so like when Rock Band and Guitar Hero were doing like their whole competitive thing where they were trying to like outgame each other, and like Guitar Hero World Tour had just come out and Rock Band 2 was like on the rise. I absolutely sucked at all of the instruments for the game, so I opted to sing every song. And I had a lot of fun with that. But nowadays, like, kind of going off topic there, like, Rock Band controllers and Guitar Hero controllers are really expensive now. Like, if you want to get, like, the Xbox 360 Rock Band Stratocaster controller in good condition, you're gonna have to spend at least $150. Like, I wonder if my parents still have that drum set, because, when I was growing up, we had, when I was in the 6th grade, we bought, like, the premium Rock Band drum set, and it was, like, one of, like, the really expensive ones, so I wonder how much that's worth nowadays. Classical gaming tax. Yeah. So the music's kind of, like, screwing up a little bit. I wonder if that's actually, like, part of the game, though, because since we're, like, literally next to a bunch of giant tornadoes. I also just realized that I'm in South Ocean, so this isn't gonna be fun. Well, this isn't technically South Ocean, it's a different... It's still south, but it's not the South Ocean, so... These enemies could use a magical ability called Eternus and Eterni, which is an instant kill if it hits me, so I tend to prefer to stay away from these enemies. Okay, I can use Rain of Swords, so should be good.
An utter victory.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because like Rock Band and Guitar Hero were big ones that have gotten really expensive to play because of the controllers being so, not necessarily rare, but like just finding one that actually works and is in good condition, because they were very, they weren't, like, they didn't really have the best production value with your controller, so they broke really easily. I think when I played Rock Band initially, I had went through probably like 2 or 3 controllers before we found one that actually worked really well. Because when you're constantly like playing it and pressing the buttons and hitting all the notes, like over time that just wears it away, and there was no easy way to just fix that. I think honestly the Guitar Hero controllers had much better build quality than the Rock Band one did. Because the Rock Band one was trying too hard to be like an actual Stratocaster guitar, and the buttons and the frets were a lot, they were a lot more thin build quality, whereas the Guitar Hero ones were actually more thick plastic. Some characters do their thing, the others are like play fighting in the background, revolutionary for turn-based fights. Well, something about this game that I've always wanted to see, and I always expected to happen, but never happens, is whenever an enemy attacks me, sometimes we'll do a counterattack, and I'm just waiting for the enemy to do a counter attack, and then it's just stuck in an endless loop of us fighting each other.
That was fun.
Of course, that's never going to happen, but for some reason my mind always goes there. So, let me see. So I'm right about here. Keeps the field active. It's good visuals. Yeah, instead of just sitting there like in Final Fantasy, which I love Final Fantasy, but like at the beginning of the stream I mentioned, like Final Fantasy 13, I love the soundtrack, and Lightning is a cool character, but I just absolutely despise the gameplay of Final Fantasy 13. So let me actually turn around and see. Okay, so that's actually something I can't cut through just yet. Well, actually, no, I can. I said actually like 4 times in a row, and I've got to stop using these filler words. I think my 2 biggest filler words are like and actually. I also realized that I need to switch back my Moonstone color because I'm getting the wrong XP for Vice.
We did it!
There's a set of this game. I'd love it to be the size of an Elden Ring map. Look at how the map is already designed here. It makes it befitting some... Yeah, like... I feel that either like a full-on remake or a sequel to this game would just be absolutely incredible. Back to red. Okay, so I'm going to be increase my stats a little bit there. Because even if you were to do this game, like, even if it would be in, like, 100 years in the future or in the past, there's a lot of story to be told here. Because I think that if Nintendo can make a sequel to Breath of the Wild in the exact same game world and make it interesting, then I feel that using the same game world with updated visuals and so on for Skies of Arcadia could be much more interesting. Because with the technology today, we could just land on any random island and just go explore. This game could be absolutely massive when you think about it. It already is a really massive game, but seeing all these islands, we could see them in real scale rather than a shrinked-down version that we see in the game world. And these tornadoes, for example, could be an actual hazard in the game world. So if you get too close to it, it will damage your ship. So there's a lot of variety that we could do here.
That was easy.
Let's see. Okay, so this is just leading me back that way. So let me actually look at a map here, because I know exactly where it needs me to go. It's a location called Esperanza. Okay, so it's going to be at the tip of Cape Victory, so that's where Esperanza is. So I have to go right there. Yeah, the music just kind of like messes up over here. But I think it might be intentional on the game's part because of the tornadoes and stuff. Like, it's... Like, even if it's not intentional, that's still pretty cool. So, I wonder if I could just go through that Sky Rift and then I could just end up at Esperanza. Because apparently I'm able to go through them now, but, you know, anything goes. Okay, cool. Alright, here's Esperanza. Though, I think it's... if I remember correctly, I think they spelled it differently. If any of you could confirm in chat if that's the correct spelling for the word Esperanza, I think they misspelled some of these words intentionally. Because I could have sworn there was an E in there somewhere, but, I mean, as I said, I'm not really fluent in Spanish. Esperanza. Okay, so they put an A where there should have been an E. If we tried to power through it, I think the Delphinos would get ripped to pieces. But if we don't go through there, we won't be able to reach Alpha Toma. Oh, poor Enrique. I think eventually Enrique will be just fine. I mean, it's like, eventually he'll get his sea legs. So, interesting. So this is a Valuan outpost. A really old one, but... Hope? Is that what Esperanza means? That's actually really, like... For this place... Actually, it's kind of heartwarming in a way. I mean, right now it's pretty depressing, but I mean, I'm sure that we'll be able to do something about this place. Considering Vice has, like, inspired a bunch of different civilizations at this point. Yeah, but again, I just love that you can see background elements of the game world in certain locations. So that's the Dark Rift, which is we just went through a Sky Rift, which is kind of like a really thick cloud. But then that one over there, there's something much more ominous about it, which we will see later. Dark Rift is a giant sky rift. It's an evil maelstrom. I've heard that once you're inside the vortex, everything goes a little strange. There's no light and compasses don't work. Basically, it's easy to lose track where you came from. So it's essentially the Bermuda Triangle, then. Oh, the man with a PNG beard. I'm surprised that the texture creator, or the person who did this texture pack, actually went and did the textures for these random NPCs. Okay, so I guess that doesn't have any story incentive to stay. At least not right now. I like the music here. It's very, like... It's comforting, but it's, like, very melancholy. Of course, RPG ends being the all-equipped hospitals. Yeah, just falling asleep in a hotel bed just immediately makes you feel better. I mean, I like going and staying in hotel beds, but, you know... Very bittersweet. Like, it really just gives you the definition of hope. Like, there's the way I can describe it, there's tragedy and loss here, but there's a little bit of an uplifting tune to it that gives you that sense, like, you know, if we really find a cause that is worth fighting for, we can pull up our arms and we can do better as people. Oh, hey, trends! Hopeful sailors from all over gathered here to try to get to the east. But now the city is filled with nothing but despair. Oh, the irony. I like this guy's mustache. That also looks very uncomfortable. Like, his leg is completely extended. Okay. Maybe I was wrong. Dawn. I mean, we were just talking about, like, very common names, and, like, I was expecting this guy's name to be, like, super intricate and interesting, but no, it's just Dawn. It's like, we have Ramirez, DeLoco, Galcian, and then just Dawn. That one mysterious man at the bar. Your Han Solo figure. I mean, we've already done the impossible by visiting a bunch of other locations, so what is a dark rift going to stop us? I'll tell you for a price, but first let me tell you my whole life story. I like his outfit, though. It's pretty cool looking.
Hey!
Yeah, you tell him, Vice. The Armada. But I thought this place was, like, completely abandoned by Valua. Why is the Armada here? Like, did they follow us from Valua again? Like, is this place gonna get razed because just by the fact that we're standing here? Well, before I go over there, I'm gonna actually explore a little bit, because if I'm gonna fight the Armada again, I'd want to get some items first. You can never escape the Spanish Armada. Apparently not. Well, at least we can get some new weapons for Ica and Vice. Athena. How many of those do I have? 30, so I should be fine for now. Man, am I hurting for gold. Is there anything that I can sell that I don't need? I mean, there's the fish, but there's really not much. I don't really get much for selling the fish. Well, I still have that prototype cannon that I'm not using, and this B-type cannon I'm not using either, so... I mean, it's not much, but it's something. So I should be okay. Because I also have my magic skills, but I also need to... I'm actually going to use my Dew on Vice, because he has the least amount of magic power at the moment. Oh, that just restores it. There was another item that I had here that increased it. Oh, I have 2 of those. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, I'm in for quite a battle, so... But hey, I'm making good time. I'm only 2 hours in. I'll probably play for another hour or so. Just because I wasn't intending to stream like too crazy long today, just because I have some stuff I got to do before I go to bed tonight. So it's probably not a bad idea for me to only stream 3 hours today. Because on Saturday, I might end up streaming this again. I don't know just yet. It'll really depend, because Saturday I've got a lot of plans for that day, but it's my actual day off, so my martial arts instructor got a bunch of tatami mats, and I'm gonna get the opportunity to actually cut some real tatami mats with a real blade. Because last time I was in class, I got to actually swing around a real blade. Safely, of course. Like, I mean, I didn't do any, like, super fancy moves with it, but getting the opportunity to actually cut something with cut a tatami mat's gonna be fun. Okay, so I hear that sham, but I don't see it anywhere, so I'm assuming that it's down there. Well, he's going a little crazy down here, so... Yep, there it is. What else is down here? Oh, cool. Treasure chest. Well, I wish I'd found that earlier, but, I mean, it's not a lot of gold, but it's still gold. I mean, that's like finding a $10 bill on the ground. It's like, it's not a lot, but it's still money. But I'm lucky that I invested in a lot of these weapons for my ship beforehand, because if I was just using the standard stuff that I got when I first got the Delphinus, I don't know if I'd be able to progress any further. So, like, Fina, like, came up and was like, oh, the Armada's here. Like, where's the Armada? Second Admiral Gregorio. Iron Wall. Well, at least he knows who he's talking to. I hope my prince finds himself in good health. I heard that you had a change of heart, or perhaps brainwashed by the air pirates. Empress Todora has sent me to escort my prince back to Valua so that he may recover. See, that's another name that I always had trouble pronouncing when I was younger. Like Empress, I always called her Todora, but I'm not sure if that's how that's actually pronounced. Same with a lot of the other like names in this game, like Loqua, which is their name for alcohol. Like this, just a lot of it's up to interpretation for some of them, but some of the other names, like I've blissfully mispronounced for years. The prince refuses to fly. My ships will regrettably begin firing upon the city tomorrow at noon. Your humble servant, Gregorio. Yeah, you tell him, Enrique. Plot development. Or character development, rather.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's time to go fight the Armada. I remember this battle being so painful when I was younger. Even though I was playing on my brother's file, I did do this fight, and I remember how painful it was, so this might be one of the first times that I've actually struggled with a battle, but who knows? Maybe I'll be confident about this. Maybe this will be like the Star Fox Adventures thing where I beat it on the first try, but there's no guarantee because there's a lot of strategy involved, and I've never really been a good tactician. Well, now that I think about it, we've already taken out, what, like, 2 admirals in ship battle with the little Jack, so, I mean, I don't think... I don't know. So it's basically a hurricane, then.
Uh-huh.
There was a small part of me that actually wanted to get like a Vice or Ica outfit for my model, but maybe in the far future when I have the capability to afford that. But it wouldn't really make too much sense if I did that like in the future when I've already beaten the game. But it would be cool nonetheless. So, judging by his ship's design, he's definitely going to be wanting to come in close to ram, so I think keeping my distance might be a bit better of an option. Because it looks like he's going to invest all of his strength into attacking me from the front. Because you don't get the name Iron Wall for nothing.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're fighting some of his cruisers. Okay, well... I'm doing a decent amount of damage to his escort ships, so... But I definitely can't underestimate them based on the strength of their escort. Because they could just easily pull something out and just... I want to see the ship battle against the paper airplane. You mean like Bagular's Air Force and Bomberman Hero? Oh, that still made me absolutely lose it. I loved Bomberman Hero, but like that was just, oh wow. I loved that game, but the enemy designs were just all over the place. But that being said, you're going to see the Moonstone Cannon for the second time. First time I've ever used it in a battle. And I think the Moonstone Cannon is going to be adequate enough to take him out, so I'm not really too worried about doing any more damage to him. But in the event that it doesn't, I'm prepared. My favorite game of all time, Starbucks SNES, is Paper Airplane Enemies in Another Dimension stage. Oh, really? Oh, here we go!
Moonstone cannon, fire!
Yep, there we go. Yeah, that's something that I actually was considering playing at some point, like, but maybe playing it in a way that the FPS is more stabilized, because there are mods that you can use nowadays that increase the frame rate and make the game a little more stable to play on more modern systems. And that's something that I've looked into for both Star Fox and Star Fox 2, because those are the only two Star Fox games that I haven't really touched very much. I refused to play Command, and then Star Fox Zero I played a little bit of, but I never finished. Wonders how they got gold and they literally blasted the ship out of the sky. Maybe they threw it off the edge of their ship whenever they were falling down. They're like, here, we gotta get rid of the weight, so let's just throw all our gold at them. Even if they threw the gold, it would still fall, unless you expect me to believe I somehow flew under it and caught the gold. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Well, maybe he got like, maybe it's like, there's like a vacuum or something that just like sucks up the gold, or... It's the same concept with like the Pokemon games where like you beat a trainer and then you're just automatically given like X amount of dollars. So like, it's like you're fighting like a boss character, and it's like, oh, you defeat Giovanni, and you know he's super mad, and then he runs away. But here, like, take all the money in my wallet while I'm at it. Okay, this guy looks like he's going to be a bit tougher. Okay, so from what I'm getting, the second Valuan fleet looks to be more defensive and also like be based on the ram, the battering ram at the front. They're gonna try to come in close. So it looks like my best course of action is to keep my distance and keep my speed up in order to avoid him, or this ship, and then eventually Gregorio. Yeah, I think even like the Esperanza residents, like the sailors were even saying, like, you're supposed to use your guns. It's like, if they had attacked me all at once, then they would have probably been able to take me out much faster. Because there's an entire fleet versus one ship. I mean, the Delphinus is great, but I don't think it'd be able to take out an entire fleet. Actually, I'll use the repair kit later, so I'll do that. And then I'll guard for the next few turns. Revolutionary War parody. Oh. I like the designs of the Second Fleet ships, though. They're really cool looking. Because, like, Valuan ships have, like, always had this really elegant-looking design, and the Second Fleet's got this really rough and, like, rustic look to it, and I really enjoy that. Plate save and continue on the same course. It just told me that I could use the Moonstone Cannon. Why do you lie to me, game? So I'll just use the Advanced Cannon, and then I'll use another Torpedo. Actually, no. I'll use the Torpedo first. Or, yeah, I'll use the Torpedo first, do it there. Do that. Repair kit. And then I'll use the advanced cannon again. Wouldn't hurt. It looks like he's trying to come up from behind me. Because if I can get the Moonstone Cannon out, I should be fine. It's just that I was kind of cheated out of using it, because it was in my, it was in one of my turns, but I guess I picked the wrong tactical option where it just took that away. Yeah, but I really like the design of the Delphinus more than some of the other balloon ships because it reminds me of the USS Missouri, which is one of my favorite naval ships of all time. Or just the class of ship that the Missouri is from. So, let's see. How much do I need for the Moonstone Cannon? No. I'm actually going to heal and play it safe. And I'll focus for the last turn, just in case. Because I have complete kits, which will heal me completely, but I want to save those for the Battle with Gregorio, because I know that he's going to give me a lot of trouble, so I don't want to waste any potential healing items on these not stragglers, but like sub-ships, essentially. This is probably the closest to some kind of RTS that I've ever done, because like, it's a JRPG, obviously, but the strategy of the ship battle is just really unique in Skies of Arcadia's realm. Close in, look for an opening. There we go! Moonstone Cannon time. Okay, I have to use it on that turn, so if I get lucky, I'll be able to use the deluxe kit, but if not, I'm fine with that. But if I'm lucky, this will take him out in one hit. If not, I'll be able to heal, and then I'll take him out in the next few turns.
Moonstone Cannon, fire!
Well, there we go. So if I'm going to fight Admiral Gregorio next, then I'm going to use my complete kit the very first turn. Yep, looks like we're fighting him next.
Yes. Let's go.
Alright, chat, everybody ready to go fight the second Admiral of the Balloon Empire? Because I'm definitely not ready. Because if I remember right, one of his attacks is literally just ramming you. I mean, those spikes are not for show. Okay, so first things first, deluxe kit. Then that. Then I will guard. I noticed there's not a lot of shit-talking between Vice and the Admiral this time around, because usually when I do battles like this, there's at least a little bit of banter back and forth, but it just immediately put me into the battle, which is interesting. But it shows you that a lot of the Valuan Admirals have different personalities, like they're not all just, like, painted with the same brush, and they have the same, like, villainous personality. Like, this guy looks like he has honor. He is the Armada's best defensive tactician. I've heard that he sets up a tight defense and waits for his enemy to make even the smallest mistake. It's then that he attacks. So, here's another deluxe kit. And then I'll guard for that last turn. So I'm thinking that he's going to try to bait me into getting close to him by, like, exposing his engine, kind of like what the Lynx did in one of my previous streams. But each battle's different. You can't expect every single ship battle to have the same tactics, so I'm really not sure. Like, that's just my best guess at this point. Okay, so he's probably going to anticipate that I'm going to use the Moonstone Cannon, so he's probably going to prepare for that, because it looks like he's going to do an attack before that. So I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to use a Valuan Torpedo. No, I will actually bite the bullet here, and I will use some magic. Deluxe kit, focus, and then guard. But I also don't want to get caught up in a healing loop either, because if I do that, then I'm just going to constantly heal, attack once, or, like, I'll heal, but it'll be futile because he'll just keep taking my health down every time, so... Because out of all the boss battles in this game, like ship battles, like, this is probably the one that's intimidated me the most, just because of memories of how hard this was. But again, it could be that I'm just misremembering it. But then again, when I played Bomberman Hero and I fought that one boss, it was absolute hell, so... Yep, there it is. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Actually, not that much. Okay, so... fake Moonstone Cannon, again. So, I'm guessing for that turn he's going to do that, so... I wonder if I use the Valuan Torpedo and it hits that turn, and then I use the... No. Well... No, I need to heal. Maybe if I hit him with a cannon that turn, it'll knock him off course, but, I mean, this is all new to me, so we'll see. Oh, it looks like he's coming right behind us. And we need to do something about that ram attack. See, that's what I was thinking, if we can increase our speed, because it looks like he's trying to bait us into getting close to him. Because he's like a heavily armored knight, or like an armadillo. Stationary, can't really get past his defense. So... So, first turn I'm going to use a deluxe kit. This turn I'll use the advanced cannon, blue and torpedo. And then I will use another advanced cannon. Or, no. Advanced cannon, and then... There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Because it looks like I can pick him off little by little until it gives me the option to use the Moonstone Cannon. See, for a lot of this, I wish I had my hand trackers on, because I'm actually, like, sitting here with my hands, just, like, laying my chin on my hands, just kind of, like, really invested into the strategy of this battle. So, I think we'll do the same thing I did last time, and just kind of go on the offensive for a little bit, and then throw in a heal, just as a supplementary thing. Because I feel like once he gets to a certain amount of health, he's going to try something new. I have a game I made, and this game's battleship battles have inspired me. I have a submarine battle that follows a similar system to this. Oh, really? Like is it like a physical game, or like a video game? Because either way, that's really cool. Because, like, I know that some people think the ship battles in this game are a little slow, and, but I've always really enjoyed them myself, just because, again, like, playing it, like, fully for the first time as an adult, seeing how much strategy is involved with it, it's really interesting. It's made RPG Maker. I basically took a bunch of stuff RPG Maker is meant to do, and did it anyway. Well, hey, that's completely okay. Like, I think that's really cool. Okay, so allegedly I can use the Moonstone Cannon next turn. So I will use magic again for this. And it looks like he's going to do that ram attack. So I'm going to try to throw him off. Actually, no, I'll use the torpedo first. And then I'll guard for that turn. Somebody, many years ago, actually made a Garry's Mod map of Crescent Isle with a fully modeled Delphinus. Sadly, the project was never finished, but I have the map file for it, so if I ever wanted to go into Garry's Mod and see the Delphinus in, like, a first-person perspective, I have the option of doing that. And technically, I have went into, like, Garry's Mod VR and, like, went into that map and looked and explored the Delphinus, which is really cool. But Garry's Mod VR, when I initially did it, it was kind of like, it was still a very new mod, so with infinite map ship battles like this could be possible. Oh yeah, that would be insanely fun. Yeah, I still have the map file if you ever want to play with it, Dio. Like, Crescent Isle itself is kind of unfinished, but the Delphinus dock, like the dry dock, is finished, and it's really cool looking. And I don't get to use the Moonstone Cannon again. I think maybe because he threw me off course, I wasn't able to use it, but, you know, I think I'll be just fine with regular attacks for the time being. So I'll just use another deluxe kit. I'll have the Valuan Torpedo, or, yeah. And I'll use the Advanced Cannon as well, and then a Valuan Torpedo for another turn. Because it does make sense that if they throw me off course, then they're going to prevent me from using my special attack, too. So I guess it's all fair in that regard. Okay, so my 10-inch cannon's lost. Oh, really? That's lame. Yeah, it's a good thing I did that heal, because that could have been really bad. So I think the next turn I'll use the complete kit. So, complete kit, advanced cannon, and then advanced cannon, or, yeah. Advanced cannon, and then advanced cannon, and then guard. Because he's got such little health that the only way that he'd be able to take me down is if he somehow healed himself and pulled some, like, really strange and obscure weapon just out of nowhere. But based on what the dialogue was saying, if he's a defensive tactician, that he's not really meant to go on the offensive very much. Looks like he wants me to come in close so he can ram me. Okay, so a few more hits and he's done for. But, again, I can't get cocky. So, We'll use magic, advanced cannon, torpedo, and then... I've got enough. I'll go ahead and do another repair, or another deluxe kit. The more health that I have, the better. Okay. So I guess I might have overestimated Gregorio? Unless he's got another trick up his sleeve, then I'm scared. Genuinely, but... if that took him out, then... Ooh. Oh, cool! I got a 12-inch cannon out of that. You must be compensating for something. Okay, it looks like we're not gonna fight him again, because he seems honorable. He's not gonna... if he loses in battle, he's gonna take it with pride. He's not gonna try to get, like, petty revenge or something. So, I guess conquered another childhood trauma, then? So, I think it might have... the reason why I was so intimidated by Gregorio was probably because at that point, when my brother got the Delphinus, we had still been running from a lot of battles. And since I've really trained up my party, and I've gotten all the best equipment at this point, I was definitely more prepared for the battle rather than, like, scraping by the skin of my teeth like that original file was with my brother. Yeah, so I think we had started off with, like, the really basic stuff, so I think we still had the prototype cannons on the Delphinus, so we really didn't have any of the good stuff, and we might have only been, like, level 15 at this point. Because a bad habit that we had was that we would run from battles, every single random battle, we didn't do any of them and just did the bosses, so we were, like, really heavily under-leveled by this point. So I'm guessing that a lot of what I'm kind of seeing was just, a side effect of just not really playing the game properly. So I'm not going to go towards the Dark Rift just yet. Since I have the capability of going through the Sky Rifts, I'm actually going to go back to Maramba and... well, I don't know if there's any crew members that I can get there. I'm going to go back to Horteka because I can get Hans there. And then once I get Hans... I don't think there's any other crew members that I can get at the moment. So I'll do that, and then I'll go through the Dark Rift. Which, since I can just cut through the Sky Rifts, it's not going to be as long. I gotta get going, sadly. Got something else I have to work on tonight. We'll come back. We're still streaming one then. Well, have a good rest of your night, Tasty. It was good that you came in and witnessed more of Skies of Arcadia. I'm really happy that you were able to actually see more of the game, because this is a game that I recommend, like, any JRPG fan to try at least once. because it's, like I said, it's a very underappreciated title, and I think that a lot of people would find enjoyment in it. But yeah, take care, and I'll see you later tonight then.
Here goes!
Yep, see you later. Yeah, I haven't really utilized my crew all that much yet. So, there's a lot of stuff that I could still potentially do that I just haven't really been touching. Because like I said, your crew can supplement a lot of items that you may or may not have. So, it's kind of the same thing with magic, so... Like, if you have a healing crystal, you can use that rather than using your magic power, which is really good if you don't want to waste that. So it's the same thing with the crew. Your crew can do a lot of the same things that these items can do, and sometimes even better. So, next ship battle I do, I'm gonna try to look at my crew and see what they can do for me. Because I didn't really investigate it too much, and even as a child, when I watched my brother play it, and then I played off of his file, I didn't really understand a lot of the crew mechanics back then because I really didn't have a very good grasp on reading. Or reading comprehension and understanding what they actually meant, so... So even though, like, I've played the game before, well, over, like, 15, 20 years ago, the last time I touched it legitimately, there's still, like, this is still very new to me. A lot of this stuff is brand new. Okay, there we go. I wish it would have just let me dock in the back where Sentime's ship is, but... Because Ortega's not, like, crazy bad, but it is kind of confusing to navigate. But I think what I'll do is I'll get Hans, I'll go back to the Dark Rift, and maybe enter the Dark Rift, and then that's where I'll stop. Because like I said, I do have some stuff I need to take care of before the end of the night. But Saturday I'm going to be streaming again, so I'll make up for any lost time that I did today. Oh, there's a moonfish I missed here? Well, I guess it's a good thing I came back. Because I would have thought that I had gotten all the moonfish. Right there. I wonder if that guy's a crew member too, but can't get him yet. Okay, so... I mean, this isn't the direction I need to go to get Hans, but... I'm glad I took the detour regardless, because I found that moonfish and got an item that I missed. Down here, maybe? Or no, that's where I came from. I also realized I have a map. I had just not kept it up, so that was my bad. I don't know that any of the merchants here will sell me anything good, though. Because I think, like, for a while, like, they still have the same inventory from when they started, but once you get to a certain turning point in the game, they all have new items. Or at the very least, an equivalent item that another merchant might have. So I'm not gonna stop at any of the merchants just yet. Wait, was that the way over there? Yeah, it is. Cool. So I gotta go find Hans, and then back to the Dark Rift. I think of all the places I'd like to live in, this is my place in the game. I love tree houses and nature and greenery, mine's the bugs. Living in nature huts and the smell of fresh air and foliage is my dream come true. Oh yeah, like, Ixotaka, probably one of my favorite locations in the game too. Just because of how beautiful it is. Like, just looking at it, of course this came out well before Avatar, but just looking at the floating islands with waterfalls, it gives you a lot of those Avatar-esque Pandora vibes, and it's just that the music here is also really gorgeous too, like the tribal drums and everything. Okay, so what does he need me to do? Okay, so I can't get him yet. I guess maybe he's working with Sentime. So Sentime should be in here. Okay, so maybe I can't get him just yet. Maybe I have to go to Yafotoma first. Because I know there are certain crew members that you have to meet certain requirements before you can get. But it was good to know that I have to do something first before I get Hans, because that'll prevent me from going around and getting crew members that I can't actually obtain just yet. Because I have a pretty good amount so far, but, I mean, it would be good to get more. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Okay, so back to Esperanza and the Dark Rift. I don't think there's anything special I have to get to go through the Dark Rift. I think it just lets me go in, but that is where I'm going to go, and that's where I'll stop. Because I think that's a good enough of a cliffhanger, is going into the Dark Rift and exploring the storm. Is that a discovery that I haven't gotten yet? Oh no, that's an Ixotakan ship. Yeah, because I'm gonna obviously run into a lot of random battles before I get there, but... Yeah, but I think after I get off stream, I might just eat some dinner and then kind of evaluate what I want to do for the rest of the night, because... I needed to test my VR because I recently got some new fans for my PC, and VR usually gets my computer pretty hot, so I got some new case fans, so hoping that will help with any heat issues that I had. Plus, I have the Quest 2 now, so I'm gonna try, because I've used it a little bit, but I haven't really used it extensively, so I want to test it on my computer with the cord and see how it works.
That was easy.
Okay. So, I guess I could just do a straight shot there. Because if I can just cut through the sky rifts, I don't have to worry about, like, cutting corners and going through areas I don't need to go into. Wait, was that a discovery back there? Because I saw the compass go haywire, so I'm wondering if that's a discovery that I missed. Because it seems like the perfect place.
Here goes! Over there!
Oh, I also need to check Fina's magic, because she just learned Rise Elm, so I'm wondering if that's all the magic for Silver that she can learn, so... Ica still needs to learn Sakrulin. Okay, so she would learn Eternus, and Eternum, which would be the last ones. I might just keep her learning Silver, just so I have one person who knows all those magic abilities. And I'll keep Enrique on Yellow, which makes sense. I mean, I've already been doing this strategy for most of the playthrough, so I might as well keep the trend going. So much build-up, and then he missed.
That was easy.
Okay, so hopefully I can go back further enough to see if the discovery is here. I thought there was one... Yeah, right here. The Beak Rock. A natural rock formation sculpted by the constant wind currents of the South Ocean. Many a sailor's story tells of a giant bird flying south or being attacked by a monstrous beak. These are likely based on sightings of this rock. At least the winds of South Ocean are blowing me the right way, so it's making me go effectively a lot faster than I would if I'd gone in the opposite direction. Oh, I think there's another discovery there, too. You have found the Kama Rock. Legend has it that the Kama Rock was once an island in the South Ocean thousands of years ago. The winds ripped the island apart and slowly eroded it down over the years to the state that it's in today. Perhaps someday, Kama Rock will no longer exist. Yeah, there's just so much hidden lore with the discoveries that a lot of this could be potentially put into the plot of a new game. Because, I mean, Bethesda took that one questline from Fallout 3 and turned an entirely new game into it. Like, taking a small faction that was mentioned and making one of the main 3 or 4 factions in Fallout 4. But so far, the stream has been really fun so far. I've been having a blast with y'all, so... Really, thanks to everybody who came out to the stream tonight. I really
An utter victory.
am having a good time, and I really appreciate it. Lifts my spirits up, because I wasn't really able to do much today, and I've been having a lot of fun. We're gonna go full speed into this tornado. Okay, we're almost to Esperanza, so we just gotta go through here. I'll bet we're gonna at least get 4 more random battles before we get to the Dark Rift, though. That's actually the first time I've ever heard her say that, or at the very least, I've just never paid attention. Go, Cupel.
We did it!
Okay, so the Dark Rift is generally in this direction. There's going to be like a vortex or something that signifies that, hey, this is the entrance to the Dark Rift. But I'm gonna start from the edge and kind of work my way down to find it. So it's a shame this game never got a sequel. I'd like to see what happened to Vice and the gang after this game. Yeah, because there's a lot more stories to tell. Like, there's the alleged, like, Dark Moon, the mystery of the Dark Rift, for example. Well, some of what I could potentially say is spoilers for later areas in the game, but there's like certain civilizations that we get to hear about, but they supposedly went missing. So there's a lot of story still left to tell, especially if it's either taking place in the past or in the far future. Because like I was telling Dio earlier in the stream, like, the technology that we have nowadays, we could literally have a game where all of these islands and so on could exist in real time and be full scale. So we could just, say for example, we could take the lifeboat and go explore the islands. Elden Ring Skies of Arcadia DLC. I'd play Elden Ring if it did that, but yeah, like, I mean, like in real time, you could explore the islands and all these world events are happening. Because just seeing what open world games are capable of nowadays and seeing what Skies of Arcadia did back then, I can only imagine what they'd be able to do now, while still preserving its stylistic integrity. It's just a matter of, like, if Sega wants to do anything with the franchise. Because in the past, they've made remakes of old Dreamcast games. Like, Panzer Dragoon got a remake somewhat recently. Yep, there's the Vortex. Very ominous looking. Alright, let's get into the Dark Rift. Spooky. Alright, we're at the entrance of the Dark Rift. But we'll have to wait till next time in order to progress. Gotta get a little bit of a cliffhanger going. If I was the Valuan Empire, I'd disguise a bomb as a save point. So if Vice comes to save his game and boom. I mean, that's pretty clever. I mean, that's one way to take out the heroes, because, like, it's like, oh, here's a healing item. Oh, sorry, it's actually poison. But with that being said, thanks everybody who came down to the stream today. Streaming really helped me feel a lot better. I'm still kind of icky from the food poisoning, but I'll probably be better by tomorrow. I'll probably be where I need to be by the next time I stream. I may or may not stream this game or another game on Saturday. It just really will depend on how I'm feeling. Most likely I'll probably stream Skies of Arcadia, but anything can change between now and then. Oh yeah, like, I had a good time, and I'm glad everyone in chat had a good time. We got some new followers, and I'm really happy with that. I'm really close to getting to affiliate with the follower count, and And it's never really been about the followers for me. It's just streaming games and having a good time with everybody. So, but yeah, as always, the VODs will be uploaded within a day or two. And, well, I hope all of you have a good rest of your, Wednesday? Have a good rest of your Wednesday, and thanks for joining me in my realm today, and I will see you.